If you are hosting Thanksgiving this year, planning and preparing may seem overwhelming at times, right? Luckily, our next guest has some tips and ideas for a stress-free celebration. Best-selling cookbook author and beloved chef Lidia Bastianich is joining me now. Lydia, it's so great to have you. So let's start with something people must do, a must-do when preparing Thanksgiving dinner. What do you recommend?
Hi, Wick. Well, first of all, of course, the turkey, that's very important. But one thing that I would suggest is really prepping in advance all the vegetables a day or two in advance, cleaning them, washing them, having them all ready to go, and using your oven as much as possible. Using it, of course, for the proteins, but also using it for the vegetables. Roast your vegetables on a nice tray, give it some oil, some garlic, some spices, some herbs, put it all in the oven and mix the vegetables, like turnips, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, all of that. And you have everything in and out of the oven. What I also would really recommend is baked pasta. Everybody loves pasta. So instead of going through an appetizers that are complicated, make one or two trays of baked shells. You can find them in my book. And it's really simple. And to make it more kind of for the holiday, I usually put in the ricotta filling, I put some spinach, but put in some roasted butternut squash or cranberries or whatever, something very seasonal. So you have two trays of baked shells, put them on the table, let them eat that while you reheat all the vegetables and finish off the turkey.
You had me at pasta. I'm all in on that. So my family this year, we're kind of a smaller group, and sometimes you don't have too much in the way of leftovers. So what do you suggest for those cooking for a small family?
Yeah, a whole turkey is a project. And, it's a question of timing, the stuffing. I would suggest the breast of turkey. Now, don't just buy the filet of breast. Buy the breast on the bone and roast it on the bone like that. And I usually like it, sometimes I make it with dried apricots, but you can put dry apricots, dry cranberries in the sauce and whatever. And it's very simple and it's quick.
Love that idea. Okay, so what about, it can be overwhelming, of course, for a lot of cooks, trying to juggle everything. What other tricks do you have to make the process a little bit simpler?
One finishing glory that I use the Italian way, I take some balsamic vinegar and I reduce it. Not the very expensive, the one that you kind of buy on the shelf. And I put some rosemary in there, some bay leaves, some honey, and I reduce it. It becomes like molasses. And then I take that and I brush the turkey that's in the last half hour of baking. I brush the turkey all over with this kind of balsamic molasses, if you will, and it becomes mahogany color, a little sweetness, and that's one special treat. But, when you're prepping the turkey, make sure, I like to sort of brine my turkey. That takes the night before, salt and leave it there. But then leave the turkey at room temperature just before you put it in. Let it come out at room temperature, dress it, salt, season it. I like to do my stuffing on the side in the cast iron. I don't like it in the turkey cavity. I fill the cavity usually with lemon, with the onions, with carrots, with basil, with rosemary, and I bake the turkey like that. Whereas the stuffing, I begin in a cast iron on the stove, and then I finish it in the oven.
Fantastic. Love those tips. I'm already getting hungry. We still got a few days to go before Thanksgiving. So you also have a new PBS special airing soon called Lydia Celebrates America. Tell us about that and why this means so much to you.
Lydia Celebrates America is a special that I've been doing for the last 14 years on PBS. Around the holidays it comes out. And it's, I'm an immigrant. It's my way of showing and appreciating how great America is. And this one is America, a nation of neighbors. And, I remember when I was a child in a small town in Italy, and, the houses on one side and the other side of the road, we knew everybody. And if my mother was not home or my grandmother, I would go to the neighbor. The neighbor would feed me, whatever. So there was this connection of neighbors kind of helping neighbors, being there for neighbors. And you know what, Whit? There's so much of that going on throughout America. Even though we hear all these things, America is great, has some great neighbors out there, And now that the holidays are here, this special, I hope I encourage people out there to look over at their neighbors and say, gee, do they need anything?
Well, I love that, celebrating neighbors, and you are right. We have so much more in common than what divides us, and what a great way to share each other's company through food and the holidays. Lidia Bastianich, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. And you can find Lydia's The Art of Pasta in bookstores right now.